I didn't grow up with a religion. My parents divorced when I was quite young, and my mum didn't believe in God at all. My dad and stepmom became Jehovah's Witnesses and started speaking to me about it when I was about 10. We would sit down, we would read the Bible, we would go through it verse by verse, and they would ask me what I thought of it, and they would take me to the Kingdom Hall, and I would listen to how they read the scriptures, how they applied it in everyday life, and they really encouraged discussion about what was being said in the Bible and encouraged people to ask questions, ask why. It was unlike the experience I'd had at school, where they would maybe read a bit of the Bible and then you'd have an hour-long lecture about things that almost didn't really feel relevant, and I really loved the structure to it and the way that they would involve young people particularly in what they were talking about. I didn't really take it that seriously because I was so young and I didn't live with my dad. So when I went home, my mum obviously didn't, and there wasn't that influence there. But I definitely absorbed a lot of what they taught me because I believed in God from that age. I just wasn't sure where I would fit in which religion. For those of you who don't know, Jehovah's Witnesses are a sect of Christianity. The summer before college, I go volunteering with my friends. Everyone else in the group is Muslim, so we obviously end up making friends with them and talking to them, and that stimulates a little bit of conversation about religion and what they believe. Honestly, it wasn't the best experience because there were a lot of cultural views and also a little bit of hostility towards white girls in particular in the culture and the religion. So that wasn't the best experience. However, there were people there who were obviously amazing, lovely people, and they are some of my best friends today. They're amazing. And it's from talking to them really and seeing their character that it really sparked an interest in me as to why they were part of this religion that I'd been taught oppresses women, that doesn't give rights to women and can be quite violent as well. Looking into it, obviously on the internet you go into certain rabbit holes, but overall a lot of the misconceptions that I'd been taught obviously weren't true, so I managed to rewrite some of those, but I still thought it just wasn't a religion for me. I honestly thought that brown people were Muslim and white people were Christian, and that's just kind of how it worked. From reading the Bible with my parents and then also talking to the people that I'd been friends with, because we ended up actually going to the same college as them, which was crazy, I'd started taking pork out of my diet as well, because I'd read in the Bible that God had obviously told Moses that we shouldn't eat pork, and it didn't really make sense to me when I'd asked about that to the Jehovah's Witnesses, that they said, oh yeah, but then like those are just ignored because the New Testament says this. So I was a bit like, what? So then also finding out that the Quran and Islam also claims Christianity and Judaism just so made sense to me, because all this time I'd been seeing the connections between what my friends were saying about Islam and then what my parents were saying about Christianity and the Bible, and it just so made sense that obviously it's the same God, so it's going to be the same thing. Something that really got me looking into it as well was my dad telling me that, you know, the Bible predates the Quran. And I remember being like, yeah, it's supposed to. The Bible came before, and then the Quran is now the final one. And he obviously just didn't know how to answer that, because there was so much that we are not taught, because there is so much bad stuff said about the religion in the media that actually has no basis. And that just made me think, like, right, I need to research more into this. I got into university, and it was really only after my 21st birthday that I was like, right, I believe in God and I need to find a religion. What religion am I going to fit into? My birthday was in the November time. In December time, a person joins my ice hockey team. This is a bizarre time to join the ice hockey team as well, because we've already been put into our teams, we've already been training for weeks, months with our team. So to join in the middle was like really weird. They are the only Muslim in this club that has about 300 members, and they're on my team, and they're so much fun. Like, we're really, really good friends. We start spending more time together, and obviously that stimulates conversations. And I'd already decided by this point, I believe in Muhammad, peace be upon him, that he was a prophet and that he was next in line. It just made sense. They obviously were really, interested and encouraging with me looking into it.
Gadis ini membagikan perjalanan pribadinya dalam menemukan dan memeluk Islam. Dia tumbuh dalam keluarga tanpa pembelajaran agama, tetapi ayah dan ibu tirinya adalah saksi-saksi Yehova, memperkenalkannya pada agama Kristen dari usia muda. Meskipun dia menemukan beberapa aspek Kristen menarik, dia tetap merasakan tidak ada hubungan yang kuat dengan Kristen, seperti dikutip dari kanal YouTube Ilham TV. Di perguruan tinggi, dia melakukan kegiatan sukarela dengan teman-teman Muslim dan menjadi tertarik untuk mempelajari Islam. Awalnya, dia memiliki pemahaman yang salah tentang agama Islam, mempercayai bahwa Muslim adalah ras kulit coklat sedangkan Kristen adalah ras kulit putih. Namun, melalui percakapan dengan teman-teman Muslimnya dan penelitian pribadi, dia menyadari bahwa Islam lebih sejalan dengan keyakinannya daripada Kristen. Kita pernah membahas pemahaman keliru terkait ras dan agama di kanal ini.
Lockdown hits, so I go home for 3 months. And we're still talking, but there isn't much talk about the religion. And in my mind, I'm like, listen, the easiest thing for me to do in terms of family, in terms of friends, in terms of my culture, Christian. I'm going to be Christian. That's it. Boom. Right. I'm going to go read the Bible. Was I impressed? No. Did it confuse me more? Yes. I just didn't feel that spark, I thought I would sit, I would read, I'd be crying because I'd finally found my religion and where I fit and everything, and just none of that happened. I ended up going back to Newcastle, and lo and behold, the only person pretty much left in university is my Muslim friend from ice hockey. Everyone else has gone home for the pandemic. We're obviously spending time together, because there's nobody else to spend time with, and we're talking about religion, and just talking to them really solidified that actually Islam probably is the one for me. I remember one day distinctly, and they were saying, listen, tell me whatever you need, I will help you. What can I do to help you get to a point where you're like, yeah, okay, like I fully believe this and everything. And I was like, listen, you can't help me. I need somebody blonde, I need somebody blue-eyed, I need somebody who's from this culture. And they're like, do you know what? You make that intent and God will do the rest. I'm telling you, God will do the rest. You take 1 step, he'll take 10. I'm telling you. And I was like, okay, like, we'll see. I just want to add in a little side note. We have this little joke that I'm Kendall from California every time I do an American accent. Remember that. So a couple of days later, I am scrolling through Instagram and following all my bikini influencers, all my Love Island influencers. I'm not following any Muslim accounts by this time, I don't think. And then an account pops up in my suggested, and it's called The Blonde Muslim. She has blonde hair, blue eyes, and she is Gadis from California. And she's a revert, talking about her revert journey, her revert struggles. And I am shocked looking at this. I remember thinking, like, I can't tell my friend about this because to have such a clear sign, I can't ignore it as soon as I tell somebody about it. For me, this just summed up exactly who God is. Like, I get upset talking about it because to have a sign that's like, I hear you on a spiritual level, here is somebody that is going on the same journey as you, that will experience really similar things to you. Here it is. And then to have that added humour of, listen, this is the joke that you have with this person. I'm just going to put this joke in as well for you. I obviously end up telling my friend, and then like, come on. So I start reading the Quran, and I'm like, listen, I don't care what mad coincidence it is that, you know, this account popped up on my feed, okay? I'm going to find something wrong. Trust me, I tried. Anything I found wrong, I went and researched, and I was like, okay, now that makes sense. And actually the hadiths that surround it make it more than fair. And I was just so impressed by the religion. I really didn't want to be though. And even with the environment that I was living in, you know, it's a pandemic, I can't see my friends, I can't see my family, I'm living on my own. I just didn't feel lonely. This sense of peace that overcame me was what I'd been looking for. And it's what I hadn't found in the summer that I was trying to read the Bible. I was quite happy doing all that because, you know, for me, I felt like, yeah, I'm Muslim, like I've been praying, you know, I'm dressing more modestly and everything. And I remember having a conversation with a friend, and they were talking about beautiful mosques and, you know, oh, they'd love to show me. And they're like, oh, but I don't know if they let non-Muslims in. And they're like, oh yeah, like of course they do, like in visitor hours. I'm not Muslim. I was literally indignant. I was like, I'm doing all this, I believe all this, does that not make me Muslim? That night, as soon as we hung up on the phone, I got dressed in nice clothes, put my nicest headscarf on. I think it was this one actually, yeah. I caught up on all my prayers, and then I was kneeling on my prayer mat and I said my shahada with that intent. You know, from thinking, this is just a technicality so I can just tell people I'm Muslim, versus actually being sat there and saying it with that intent. If you've had an experience where you have felt God's presence with you, you will understand that feeling. There is nothing that I can equate it to. And that was exactly what I was looking for. And I always go back to that moment when I have wobbles in my faith, or if I wonder if what I'm doing is right, because it might sound crazy, but I felt God there. I felt him see me say it, and I felt him accept me, and it didn't matter, you know, what colour my skin was, what colour my hair was, where I came from. This was it. This was my religion. After that, I mean, I just carried on reading, and I made this Instagram to try and find other sisters like me, other born Muslims, just to create a group around me that shared the same beliefs as me. Also, after saying my shahada, I realised that the people that I kept closest to me were also Christian. And that's really, really interesting, because to find people my age that are in university that have a faith and believe it to the extent that they'll admit it and they'll have conversations with you about it, I think is quite rare. And my closest friends turned out to be Christian. They get it. They get my beliefs. They don't think I'm crazy when I talk about God. And it was really comforting just to have those people that had been put in my life years previously that support me in this. Despite it not being a religion, they still support me in this. And also girls from volunteering that I have stayed friends with that are also Muslim. And one of them got me a bracelet with my the date I said my shahada engraved on it. Yeah, so that is my revert story.
Selama lockdown COVID-19, gadis ini menghabiskan waktu bersama teman muslimnya dan melakukan diskusi mendalam tentang agama. Mereka menemukan kenyamanan dan rasa memiliki dalam ajaran Islam. Dia mulai membaca Al-Quran dan terkesan dengan pesan-pesan dan keselarasan ajaran-ajaran Islam lainnya. Meskipun awalnya ragu, gadis ini mengalami momen yang kuat dalam koneksi spiritual dan memutuskan untuk secara resmi memeluk Islam. Dia mengucapkan syahadat dengan niat yang tulus dan merasakan kehadiran Tuhan yang mendalam. Momen ini memperkuat keyakinannya bahwa Islam adalah agama yang benar baginya. Setelah konversinya, gadis ini mencari umat muslim lainnya dan membuat akun Instagram @theenglishmuslim untuk terhubung dengan mereka yang lahir muslim dan memiliki keyakinan serupa. Dia juga mendapatkan dukungan dari teman-teman Kristennya yang menghormati perjalanan keagamaannya. Sebagai kesimpulan, video ini menggambarkan eksplorasi pribadi dia terhadap agama dan konversinya menjadi Islam. Dia membagikan pengalaman, tantangan, dan momen yang mendalam yang memperkuat keyakinan dia dalam Islam.